Laredo, take us out.
Take her out.
Every Friday night, join the fun and let's go off-world. Geek out with us live, where the nerdiness will thrive. Buckle up and let's go off-world. Toys, comics, pop culture news, movies, and so much more. Matthew, Jesse, Curtis, and Sean are your guides on this fun-filled tour. Take flight each and every Friday night. Join the fun and let's go off-world. Let's go off-world. Let's go off-world. Hey, hey, hey. Let's go off-world tonight.
All right, guys, it is not Friday night. We are not live, but we are off-world. This is a special presentation of Off-World. We are going to talk some Deadpool and Wolverine, the new smash hit of the summer of 2024. But before we get into D&W, I got Joe Gonzalez here with me tonight.
You,
Joe?
I am here. I am
Welcome.
present and accounted for. Kick the tires and light the fires. Let's go.
Below him, we've got Sean Scavarna back from his self-imposed. I lost the word.
Timeout.
Sabbatical.
Sabbatical. We'll go with sabbatical.
And now I'm going to be doing this till I'm 90.
Till we're 90. Next to him and below me and Curtis, right where he likes to be, we've got Jesse Arnold.
It's Jesse A.
He looks like I.
He's the
Need to
fun.
enunciate. How are we doing, Jesse?
Oh, good. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thanks for asking.
Fantastic.
And my left-hand man, we got straight out of his dad's dick, Curtis Ackerman.
Mm-hmm.
How we doing, Curtis?
I came out ready.
Absolutely. He has been sitting here for 8 hours at this point, waiting for the rest of us to finish work and get to reviewing.
Just say he came out
Yep.
already.
Totally.
Multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
It was great. All right, guys. So we've all hopefully seen Deadpool and Wolverine at this point.
I don't know what that is.
No? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
I would highly, highly, highly suggest that you go see it. Yeah, we are not going to censor ourselves past this point. So anything's fair game. So if you haven't seen it, don't want to be spoiled, turn us off and come back to us in a little bit. So Deadpool and Wolverine, it has already blasted past the $500 million mark, easily on its way to break $1 billion, possibly be the highest grossing R-rated movie of all time.
I think it already is the
Is it?
highest R-rated. Yeah, I saw that the other day.
That's possible. And right now on the tomato meter, which I don't agree with, normally, but the critics are giving it a 79% fresh, and the audience are giving it a 96% fresh. So
Just proves that critics are idiots.
that's high for critics, though. Like that's amazing. So. So let's go around real quick and go with our anticipation leading up to the premiere. Joe, you're going to start first because I looked at you first.
Okay. I didn't actually have a ton of anticipation. I was fairly confident that I would enjoy it. I mean, I go to Deadpool for the humor. And Ryan Reynolds, I think, has proven himself to be enough of a comic fan that I knew there was going to be a lot of Easter eggs and nods to things from the comics that I went in very confident that it was going to be a fun experience. So,
did you have any worries with Disney taking it over? Because this is the first Disney backed Deadpool movie.
Not really. I had seen the trailer where with the cocaine gag, and that kind of relieved a lot of the, if there was any fears. I hadn't really thought about it, but just there when he was doing the speech about, the different names for cocaine, it made me feel like they were letting him do his thing. So,
right. And real quick, because I did look it up, currently Deadpool and Wolverine is number 14 all time for R-rated movies. So,
Interesting.
number
Is it the best opening weekend? Yeah.
Yeah.
For
The highest right now is unfortunately that shitty Joker film with a gross of over 1 billion. So
that's a different show. No opinions.
This will easily top that, I'm sure.
It's better. I can't believe that Joker's up there. Sean, on to you.
I watched the trailers, and each one progressively got me more and more excited. Pretty much since that first trailer where Ryan did the whole, "Hey Hugh, you want to play Wolverine one more time?" Yeah, sure, okay, Ryan. From that point on, I'm like, all right, you got my attention. And yeah, for me at least, the Deadpool movie franchise so far is one of the very few where if I tell my wife they're making a new one, she will honestly go, "We need to go to that one," because this is now like her Marvel movie. And I love that about it. So it didn't take as long to get to the theater and all that because she's on board just as much as I am after the first two. So I was just happy there's any more Deadpool coming out because I have enjoyed the character in the movies quite a lot.
Very nice. Jesse?
Like Sean, that first like little teaser where Ryan's sitting on the couch and Hugh's walking behind him and like grouches at him as I was like, all right, that's all I need to know. And I tried to avoid as much pre build up just because I feel like I see so much anymore in trailers in general that it's nice to see a lot of surprises, even if it's stuff that's in trailers. I try not to watch past the first trailer anymore.
Yep.
Whereas a couple of years ago, I was watching like every trailer, doing breakdowns, just trying to get it. And I'm like, there's nothing left to see. So I was really looking forward to it. I was not worried about the Disney stuff at all after the way they did that setup. And then I think there was that one trailer, the first trailer they talked about, I know what pegging is, but it's new to Disney. I was like, all right, they're, I don't know how far they're going to let them go, but like if they let them do that in a trailer, I was like, it's going to be close enough. And I was very excited to see it. And I think I was the first one in the group to see it.
Yep.
Oh, that makes you the winner.
So suck it.
Congratulations.
It's all right.
You're like those people that got skeletons and other people didn't, and you rub it in their face.
Those of us who have no shipping notice, and some people got them immediately on a messenger bike. So, Curtis, how were you feeling leading up to the release?
I tried to avoid as many of the trailers and stuff as I could, just to kind of be fresh. I wasn't so much worried that it was going to be dumbed down because of Disney, or that it was going to be, too kind of G-rated or whatever. I was worried that they were going to try to shove some like multiverse bullshit in there just to fit the rest of the MCU, because I think their multiverse movies have been absolute garbage. And I just
like a miss after miss after miss.
Yeah. So I was worried that they were going to try to like throw some stuff in there to make it fit with the rest of the MCU, and that was going to maybe kind of hurt the movie. But I also thought that the two of them, Ryan and Hugh, just have a good rapport in real life, and I figured that was going to probably show up on screen, and you were going to be able to see that, and it would carry the movie, and I think it did. So
yeah. Pretty much the same as all you guys here. I avoided everything. I did not watch a single trailer. I did see that teaser trailer, with Ryan and Hugh, but everything else I avoided. because I wanted to go in completely fresh. And it really paid off for me. Same thing as Sean, like the Deadpool movies are my and my wife's movies. We've seen them all together. And so, yeah, luckily I was able to ditch these guys on Friday night and go out with my wife and see it. Seemed like just in time, because it seemed like Saturday was kind of when Facebook blew up with like all the spoilers. So granted, if I hadn't seen it, I probably wouldn't have been on Facebook as much as I was, because this is definitely one that I think was worth seeing without knowing what you were gonna get. And yeah, I gotta agree with you, Chris. That's probably my biggest thing. It's like how much I think I've enjoyed the multiverse phase better than most, but even then, like Deadpool was always fun as this like side pocket thing. And I was really worried that I felt like this was going to be like, how do we get Deadpool into the MCU, or pretending that he was like there all along type of thing. So that was kind of my fear going in, is like that this is just going to be like him coming over. So, but then of course we saw it, and yeah, let's just jump in with your initial reactions, what you really liked about it. We'll go opposite way this time. Curtis, you'll start us off.
It's my new favorite movie.
Marvel or
just
all
any.
out? Yeah.
I'm not saying that it's the best movie ever made, but for me, it's the one that I enjoyed the most. Before this, it was Thor Ragnarok, and I really didn't think anything could top that because I love that movie so much. But this is my new favorite movie. It was so good. From start to finish, it was like, it was one thing after another, just boom, boom, boom. There were no lulls in the story. There was a lot of laughs. Some of the fight scenes were absolutely amazing. We've talked, before about some of the Netflix fight scenes and, Daredevil and Punisher and things like that. Like, this was as good, if not better than that. And the story was good. Like I liked all the characters. Like everybody in this was good. I enjoyed the whole movie. So,
how great was it to actually see Hugh Jackman fighting like Wolverine? Like it was a whole different type of fighting from previous Wolverines. He was getting low. He was, he was very animalistic. Like all those fight scenes looked like comic books come to life finally.
I thought the first fight scene was amazing, but then when they fought in the Odyssey, game over, man. That thing that was unbelievable. Like how do you choreograph a fight in a van? Like, right. I don't even know how you do that, but it was fantastic.
Absolutely. So, and by that point, they both knew about their healing factors, and like they were just able to like go to town on each other, knowing at the end that they were just getting their aggression out.
Yeah, and I don't want to take all the thunder before these other guys get there, but the cameos were on point, all of them. I love them.
We'll get the favorite cameo in a minute, so hold on to that, guys, as we go around here. Jesse.
I don't know if I would say it's definitely not my favorite Marvel or favorite movie in general, but it is the most fun I've had at the movies in a long time. Thoroughly enjoyed it. It was funny. It had heart. It had action. It had everything. And I think the first two Deadpool movies had a lot of those things, but I just feel like this movie just turned everything up a notch.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever fears anyone would have had about Disney being too Disney, I think they took all the best parts of the Fox Deadpool movies and added a lot of the best parts of the MCU movies and made just a really great movie. I think, like you were saying about seeing, Hugh Jackman get to fight as Wolverine, because in my opinion, because he was playing in a minor spoiler at this point, but because he was playing a different reality Wolverine than we had seen at this point, I feel it's like, okay, he can be completely different. And he was playing the actual, like what the MCU version of Wolverine had been if Bryan Singer and Fox hadn't been like, no comics, know this, though that, which I know he snuck a lot of that into the original Fox movies because I think because Kevin Feige was giving him comics on like the DL, outside of Singer's purview. But so just getting to see that fighting style, the poses, and I think having someone so juxtaposed to Deadpool as Wolverine, where he's so much less of a talker, and they're not as tied into each other's storylines like Cable was, and not much of a talk. It was a lot of fun. I had a great time.
Sean?
So I did have fun, but I'm probably in the minority on this. I didn't like it as much as the first two. And that really was weird. And I talked to my wife about it, and she actually agreed. Like, it wasn't. I think my thing with Deadpool in general, and it's probably because of the first two movies, is either Curtis or Jesse had said he's like his own little pocket doing the movie there. And it's like this little tiny world he's worried about. And then when you put it on a bigger scale, like they did in this movie, where it's literally an entire world he's trying to save, there was a kind of like something missing for me in it because of the fact that it got huge after two movies of it being small and contained. And I found myself sometimes not as invested in it compared to the previous two for some reason. That doesn't mean that it isn't good. That doesn't mean that the characters don't work or whatever. It's just for some reason I came into it still enjoying that little, like, here's the chimichanga truck that he's driving up in, and he's doing his own things, and he's pretty much the spotlight of those movies. And then when you put Wolverine in there with him, then Wolverine kind of actually gets the spotlight a bit more because that's his chance to do it, because he's able to be rated R finally. And I almost felt like the Deadpool stuff in this one actually was too much. Like, there were certain jokes where I'm just like, I don't need you to keep riffing. Just let's end it here and move to the next scene or something. And unfortunately, like, some of that stuff, the first two, I was howling in tears at some of those jokes. This one, it didn't land for me quite the same way for some weird reason.
Wow.
But the action sequences, yes, were very well done. I do have a complaint about the ending that personally I would have rather seen happen and I don't know why they didn't do it personally, but I'll get to that when we talk about specifics. But
yeah, we'll have a complaint part here too. But
I would say, like, the first two I would probably give 5 stars apiece, because I really was impressed by how well that they were done pushing the envelope for Marvel, even though it was 20th Century Fox and all that stuff. This one I'd probably go either 3 or 4 stars out of 5 in a weird way.
Wow.
It just it doesn't have quite the personality that I was expecting out of a Deadpool movie compared to the first two, I guess.
Well, all right, Sean, thanks for joining us today. We'll talk to you later. And no, I'm kidding.
That from the guy who gave me crap about my sabbatical today.
Oh, wow. I did not see that coming, especially from you. If I can just offer a little rebuttal, and I'm not trying to change your opinion or anything, but to me, I mean, your opinion's perfectly valid. You know that. Everyone's opinions are. For me, was kind of my whole takeaway from this was the fact that he's got the chance to be, Marvel Jesus in his own words. And instead, once he realizes that means giving up his own world, his own pocket, he does everything in his power to save that world. He's literally holding up the picture from his birthday party and like, this is why I'm doing this.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, just kind of, and that was kind of, not to jump over you, Joe, but that was kind of like my big takeaway was like, oh, at the end of the day, they are still preserving his world, even with, them being Disney now, them being able to be the MCU. And yeah, but as far as the Wolverine side, yeah, it was definitely his time to shine. And I will throw out there that technically this is not Deadpool 3. This is Deadpool and Wolverine. So,
yeah, Yeah, I've heard that plenty over the weekend too, which I'm like, I get what you're doing and that works, but there is that part of me where I'm just like, it just didn't feel, it didn't feel quite, I don't know how to explain it. I
Yeah,
don't know
no.
if it's the directing, because I know each movie has a different director and all this. I don't know. There's just something about this one that it didn't catch me the same way. I want to see it again, but I'm not going to end up seeing it in the theater because I just don't have time. So
Yeah.
maybe the next time I view it, it'll be different.
All right. Joe, initial thoughts?
Well, I went in expecting to laugh because of Ryan Reynolds' portrayal of Deadpool and the fact that he's just a funny guy overall. And yeah, that's exactly how it hit for me. Like, I was ready to laugh. I spent a lot of time laughing. It felt good to just relax and laugh at all the silliness, he did. And, I guess I'm kind of opposite of how Sean is feeling. Like, I felt like he did the classic Deadpool tropes, I liked that Wolverine was there to call him on it sometimes and draw attention to it. As a viewer, I'm almost so used to him doing, these long dialogues that you just kind of get into it and enjoy it. And somebody just said, "Would you shut the hell up?" Was fun. The action scenes were great. I thought they were well choreographed. The story was good. There's not really much that I didn't like about it. Really, it all kind of meshed for me. Like, for what I like, it kind of hit on all those points. So I like the guest stars, that they brought in sometimes in unexpected ways. Surprises and things like that. It was a lot of fun. So.
Yeah, same here. Like, my number one, this now we've been to theaters a few times since the vid hit, and like this is the vid, yes. That's what Gen Zers are calling. You wouldn't understand, old man. And this was the most packed. I mean, we were back to like every half hour in my local theater, there was a showing starting. I think there were only 2 other movies playing in the theater on Friday, and everything else was Deadpool and Wolverine. I bought my seats days before, but I looked on there just as we were sitting there waiting for all the damn commercials to stop and the movie to start, and there were only 2 seats left not sold, and both of those were sold by the time the movie started. So it was a packed house, and everybody was just laughing their butts off, me included. I want to see it again just because I know I missed dialogue in there because we were just cracking up. And then, like, to get into it and to find out, at the end of the day, that this is, again, going into it worried about this is going to be all about Deadpool joining the Marvel Universe. Even the opening really being that, like, you get it with him, but then it gets right into the TVA stuff and them giving the opportunity. But then to find out that really it's a love letter to the Fox saga, which I never really stopped to think about all of those movies as a whole, and really what they did. I mean, yeah, we can look back now and go, yeah, X-Men weren't that great. Elektra and Daredevil sucked. Blade was, about 50-50.
Watch yourself.
Blade 3, dude. Really? Like,
my favorite Blade movie.
They had to CGI his eyes because he wouldn't open them for the scene.
Watch yourself.
I do like Blade Trinity too.
Anywho, I said 50-50. Good Lord,
it's the best one.
Anywho, but yeah, it kind of blindsided me, really, with not having any of the spoilers, any of the trailers beforehand. And I thought it was well done, while at the same time reaffirming to me like that Deadpool is going to continue how he is. He is saving his world. He's choosing his life and his family over Marvel Jesus status. It had a lot of heart, and I mean, obviously everyone's the laughs are there, but like as him and Wolverine start learning each other and everything, I mean, Wolverine's the first person in the movies to really make him just shut up when they're arguing in the van, and he's telling him that you're not going to save anything. You can't even you can't even save your own relationship, and like. They get each other, and it's a great chemistry. And by the end of it, you can tell that they've just bonded in that special kind of way. So, and not to mention the soundtrack. Holy shit, that soundtrack was killer. Like every beat in the right place at the right time. I loved it through and through. Let's jump into the cameos here. So before we get into the cameos, I have to ask, and I want you guys to be honest. When you saw Chris Evans show up, did anybody clock that he was going to be Johnny Storm and not Captain America? Because I did not. About a split second before he said "flame on," I'm like, wait a minute, holy shit.
I honestly, I kind of figured it because of the 20th Century Fox logo and the the void, and then I'm like, if we're dealing with that, he's got to be Johnny now. Because it's like he left on a good note with Cap, and the minute they showed him like that, I did actually like how he does flame on and he's flying off, and the pyro's like, screw you, and he just takes the fire from him. So the fact that he was there actually, because I was like, out of all the X-Men guys you could have as a cameo, Pyro was one I never really liked, even in the movies. But that actually amused me that he took away Johnny's powers at least. But then here's one of those things: the fact that he falls the way he falls, literally he hits his head and his whole body goes limp, but then he's still alive somehow. I'm like, this is weird to me. Like even in the scene with the birthday party, how is Shatterstar still alive? He literally got chopped up with helicopter blades in the second movie. So that's the kind of stuff where I'm sitting there going, what? And I don't know if
all of those characters should have been dead at the birthday party.
He fixed it. He fixed the time.
I thought he just fixed it so that Sugar Bear survived. I didn't think that every X-Force person lived at the end of that movie.
Yeah,
because he went back and saved Vanessa.
Yeah, Vanessa. He saved Vanessa.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so if he saves her, none of that other stuff happened.
Vanessa, he didn't need X-Force.
Right.
That's one thing about that one that drives me nuts. Is the ending ends up rewriting the whole movie you just sat through. And I'm like, at the end, you're like, oh, come on, but. No,
welcome to comics.
I thought Johnny should have been dead in that scene, and then all of a sudden, he's still there, and I love that joke that comes around again with Johnny. So that was pretty funny.
I actually thought the same as you when he hit the ground like that. I was like, oh, and that was his cameo. Like that's it. So I was actually pleasantly surprised.
Exactly,
that was a brutal fall.
It was. So I'm like, and that's
like
what they
straight
do
up like. Kermit getting thrown down the stairs on the Muppet Show and just like going complete doll body.
Literally, when he hits his head and the rest of his body goes backwards, I'm like, there's no way it's like they killed him. Okay. Then the next thing he's in there with him and he's talking, and I'm like, wow, okay. I guess in the void you can't die or whatever. You're just stuck there then.
Not as easily.
I guess, yeah. So,
or maybe it's a comic book movie. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there. Just possibly.
Well, he's from a movie that was definitely more cartoonish than some of the other ones. Maybe it was a nod to that.
I just think Deadpool, the franchise as a whole, has more of that kind of gratuitous comic book violence.
And a Fantastic Four 2, he gets all their powers. Maybe there is something to do with that then, where because he got Reed's stretching abilities, he survived it. Because he took all their powers to go up against Silver Surfer at the end of that one.
What a nerd! Oh my god!
I haven't seen all the Blade movies, but I saw Trinity.
Favorite cameo? We're starting with Jesse.
No, don't start with Jesse.
I already started with Jesse. I declared it.
I'm passing to Curtis.
God damn it! All right.
I know people are going to expect me to say Gambit, but I'm not. It was actually Blade was my favorite cameo.
Okay.
I think him coming in, knowing that they were on Blade Trinity together, knowing that there was notorious beef between the two of them on that set. To see him come in first blew my mind. And then the fact that they reference it and he, says, I don't like you. And he's like, you never have. I was dead, man. Like I was, yeah.
It's funny because sorry, go ahead.
It was amazing to me. And just, I also loved his look, like the Blade look with the gray and the goatee and stuff. And like I was ready if they immediately after that movie like set up another Blade movie with Wesley Snipes, I'd be all in. Like it was amazing, and that was absolutely my favorite.
Yeah, it's funny because until that line, I'd forgotten about Ryan Reynolds being in the Blade movie. Like, and so when he said that, I'm like, oh yeah, like, but yeah, you want back, Jesse? Are you good to go now?
I don't know. You locked up. What did you say?
Did I?
At least on my end.
Well, and one of the reasons I love Blade Trinity so much is because Ryan Reynolds playing Hannibal King really is playing that Deadpool role in that movie. Like if you go and watch it, like you throw a Deadpool mask on him, that character is Deadpool throughout that whole movie. It's the same personality. So yeah, that was awesome. Anyway,
maybe I'll have to rewatch that now. I will say though, I did see an interview with Wesley that popped up, and he did say that the feud between him and Ryan was all made up.
He's full of shit though too, because he also said that towards the end of that, he also says, he hadn't talked to him in 20 years. Well, you don't not talk to somebody for 20 years if there's no feud. So
I think if anything, I think he was just done with the franchise. Like I don't think it was Ryan specific.
No, they were notoriously like almost at blows during the set. Like it was bad. So
back to you, Jesse. Are you good now?
No, I was just waiting for Curtis to tell us more about Wesley Snipes' opinion about Wesley Snipes' life. Cavalrine.
Okay.
Why you gotta wake up and choose violence?
Hey, you started it this morning, man.
That's truth.
Out of nowhere, you just had to throw that out there for no
I was just
reason.
throwing a video that I saw that I thought you guys might find enjoyable.
It was quite enjoyable.
Yeah,
but the Cavalrine. Go ahead, Jesse.
Yeah, I love the Cavalrine just because it was so unexpected to me. I know there'd been talks about him possibly, joining the MCU or, this, that, and the other thing. And he's not who I would want to see pick up the role going forward. Oh, no. But just that brief little glimpse, and especially when he did kind of like the slower version of like the Mission Impossible, like gun cock in his arms to punch the claws out, and then just punching Wolverine so hard or Deadpool that he goes like flying back through the portal. Like that that was great.
And that's all we need. It was kind of up there with like John Krasinski as Reed Richards. Like, okay, that was nice.
So, but it was.
I would have never equated those two things: the gun cocking arms with the claws coming out. The fact that they incorporated those two together was genius, in my opinion.
Yeah, I absolutely loved it, and it was short, sweet, to the point. It's like I don't need any more of it. They gave me just enough.
Perfect. Sean.
I think Curtis's is one that I was pretty surprised by because I even said to my wife in the movie, he hates him. How did he get him in the movie? But I think the one that I actually was like, holy crap, when they did it was Age of Apocalypse Wolverine.
Yeah. He looked good too.
At all. And I love that he was the most ferocious of all the Wolverines that Deadpool came up against.
He fucked him up.
Yeah. And I love that he's literally got one hand and with the claws, and he still managed to be more scary than any Wolverine we have yet to see in the movie. So just the fact that they went there, I loved. And then a quick one to the small Wolverine as well when he gets off the bar
comic
stool.
accurate.
I remember like when they said like Hugh Jackman's like 6'2" or what, 6'4", I don't remember how big, but he's like freaking tall. And like I've heard people over the years going, "Where's my 5'3" Wolverine?" And when they finally did it, they proved why it doesn't quite work as well in live action compared to a dude that's over 6 foot with those claws.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, I just love how he's like, "Oh my god, you're so cute."
Oh, good times. Joseph?
I think for me the one that meant the most was to the movie was X-23.
Okay.
I think that the heart that she brought to that section of the film really added the most to it. It wasn't just a cameo, it actually meant something.
Yeah.
You know, when she says you're never the guy until you are, you know, things like that I don't know. I felt like to me that one meant the most to the movie, even though it was, you know, a very small part of the movie. So that's huge.
I know they were using a lot of the tagline "Let's fucking go."
Yeah.
When she puts on the glasses, that was like the most "Let's fucking go" moment of the whole movie. Like she put on those glasses, I'm like, oh yeah, shit is going down right now.
Yep.
So
yeah, and she kicked a lot of ass. And,
she did.
Yeah, we're just, you know, I don't want to throw too many spoilers out there, but there was one death in particular that felt pretty good. To me,
we're
spoiler free. We're spoiling everything.
We're heavily in spoilers,
right?
Well,
they've been warned.
The Juggernaut being the way that he was done in that movie. It felt right for him to be murdered by X-23. You know, like it just felt right. You know, like a true reboot, not just hey, here's a different actor. We're gonna murder this character that was done incorrectly. You know, and he was done right in the previous Deadpool movie.
Yeah,
right.
You know, so
which is why
I really would have liked him to say, "I'm the Juggernaut, bitch." I would have loved for him to say that.
Yeah, but I think that's my pick is X-23.
Yeah, I mean she was definitely.
I mean, if we're getting into the you know spoiler parts of it, her being in the ending part felt good too.
Yeah,
you know that made me happy that she was a part of that. So.
Yeah, for me, I think my favorite Wolverine variant, so we kind of did that too this time around, is what was the old man Logan in the opening scene where, you know, he's like, because there's a part of me that thought, okay, this is what they're going to do. They're just going to dig up Wolverine. And, you know, the whole time he's digging, he's like, yeah, you guys don't understand how regenerative healing works, blah, 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 blah. It's like, you know, he hits it and he's like, all right, here we go. And then you just see him, you know, what, son of a bitch or whatever. And he's sitting there next to the skeleton and he just like, ah.
How great would it have been if the whole movie was like a Weekend at Bernie's where he just carried around Wolverine skeleton.
Dude, the opening credits with the bye
that was amazing.
Him using the skeleton, he's making nunchucks out of the bones when he puts on the claws and he like, oh my god, I'm just dying, and it looks amazing. Like that was awesome.
Deadpool movies are the only movies that I actually watch the opening credits.
Yeah.
You know, because normally I'll just like fast forward through it or whatever.
But
yeah. But I don't care about all those names. But no, I want to see all those names.
Yeah, that was great. Other than that, I've got to give just the most unexpected was that, you know, I mean, X-23, they mentioned her like quite a bit. And with, you know, the death of Logan in the Fox universe being that pivotal point for, you know, the catalyst for what's going on with the TVA. She was expected, like she played a great role, especially for this Wolverine that, you know, Deadpool hooks up with. But like she was expected, but when Elektra, Blade, and Gambit walked out like you could have given me 100 guesses, even telling me 20th Century Fox characters are going to show up, and I would have never pulled those three out of my ass. So, and I got it. I know I kind of expected Curtis too to say Gambit, but I loved Gambit in this, just with this whole shtick being that he never got to be Gambit, and he's got a horrible accent that comes and goes. Who's your dialect coach? Well, I think we're missing a lot of important exposition here.
He might have been born in the void. He doesn't know.
He doesn't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, actually seeing Channing Tatum in that costume with the effects and everything, I'm like, God damn, why didn't they make a Gambit movie?
He looked odd to me standing there in costume, but when he was fighting, it looked great.
Right.
Like the way that they used his cards and his staff and the way that he fought and the way that I loved the way that he was talking and some of the funny lines they gave him throughout it. But just standing there, he very much kind of, I guess, I don't know if he's
about 30 pounds of muscle over what we're used to seeing with.
Well, he's like really broad up top, and then it goes down really skinny at the legs, and it's like I don't know, it just looks odd for a Gambit.
But I think it was also kind of meant to, because I don't think they would have gone that comic booky with his costume. Like even if you look at Wolverine's, it's very much the yellow and blue, but it's done in a very like armored way. I think Gambit's, if he had his own movie, would have been more. I think they were really playing into the comic bookness of his outfit there. So.
It felt to me like Channing Tatum like raided the wardrobe department and threw together something and just got into the scene without them knowing he was going to even show up, and then he just walked in, because there's definitely like his suit, as in like the character in the comic, is one where you look at that and you're like, there's no way they're going to translate that into live action and make it look good. Animation, possibly, and you've seen it on the cartoons and stuff, but like that was one of those where I'm looking at him going, he looks like he's cosplaying as the character the whole time, and it's like, it was fun to see it. And the fact I told my wife, because she's like, okay, there's Ryan Reynolds, Hugh Jackman, Henry Cavill, and Channing Tatum on the same movie. I'm like, there you go. That made her entire weekend. And for me, I'm just there like, Channing Tatum was going to be Gambit, and he's finally getting to be Gambit. And I'm like, thank God he didn't get to be Gambit.
I thought he did really well with the fight scenes.
No, it looked awesome.
He did.
I picture Gambit being more kind of tall and lanky, not jacked.
And the hair should have been longer. His hair was weird to me. His hair should have been longer. I was waiting for it though, where like when I've seen him drawn in the comics, there's always like the trail of energy coming out of the cards. This was still going like the Wolverine Origins kind of vibe, where it's like the card would glow and he'd throw it, but it never had that like impact looking thing the way they did in the comics to me. So it was kind of like, you got to see some stuff that you didn't expect to see, but they didn't go all out on him, because Wolverine and Deadpool are obviously the main draws. So yeah.
I'll say for Gambit, just real quick about Gambit. I think I actually liked it. I thought it was great seeing Channing Tatum play the role. I don't know if I would have wanted to see a whole movie of that, but seeing what we got in this, I could have stood to see a little more in this context, but like a whole movie dedicated, I don't think so. Then again, I think he was overplaying the concept of Gambit.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it wouldn't have been that far. Yeah,
I do agree with Curtis. I think the action parts were great. The one thing I didn't like is the way they did some of his powers. They took almost like a boom boom effect to it, to where there was one where he like said he's like, and boom or whatever, and then the stuff exploded. I'm like, that's supposed to explode. Minor nitpick. Like it's not ruining the movie. That was the one moment that kind of was like, that's not his power, but that's super nerd brain going, not soup. Never mind. But I loved seeing Elektra come back, because as much as bad as the Daredevil and Elektra movie are, I feel like they had the potential to be better with the casts that were in them.
Yes.
It was just the way those types of movies were made at that point in time. They didn't really take them seriously and in a fun way. And I getting to see her come back and the whole concept of them being like, yeah, we didn't get to say goodbye to our characters,
Right.
the way we wanted to, we just I thought that was a really fun way to bring that back. Yeah. And the whole thing about like, oh, Daredevil, he didn't make it.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's fine. Yeah, sorry to hear about Matt. Oh, it's fine.
The one last thing I'll say about the Gambit, I felt happy for Channing Tatum because I know that's a role that he's wanted to play for a long time, and they just scripts just kept getting tossed and kept getting jerked around. But he's like he's been like avidly like saying, I want to play this role. I want to play this role. So just the fact that he got to play the role, even if it's this small bit, I'm happy for him.
Totally
Absolutely.
agree.
Yep. And I like how even with once Deadpool finds the Wolverine that ends up coming with him, I like how like everything's just known, for lack of a better word. Like we don't spend a ton of time in exposition. We don't have to explain to Wolverine what's going on. You get a Wolverine that's like he's been with the X-Men, he knows the Avengers. Like I like that they didn't get bogged down in like trying to over explain everything. We even when we meet all the other 20th Century Fox people, like Deadpool just knows who they are. Like we don't have to sit there and be like, they had their little bits like, like with in the void, who knows? But I don't know, I appreciate that they were treating us like we know you guys have been here for the whole ride. We don't have to sit here and spoon feed. We don't have to pull Wolverine over and explain to him everything that's like this Wolverine came from a comic universe. He understands like alternate universe and this shit happens. It's another day. Let's go. Let's fucking go. So
what about like just like I know a lot of times we'll talk in movie talk, like we'll have we'll quote a movie or whatever. Somebody will say something in a word, a phrase, or whatever will trigger something, and we go into kind of movie quoting. Are there certain things from this movie that stick out to you that you feel like whenever, like I don't know, that you're going to hear more often now because of this movie?
We are going to do this podcast until we're 90.
I mean,
Yeah, that one for sure.
This
I've been saying
weekend
that
with
already.
Robert Downey Jr.'s reveal at Comic-Con, that was the first thing that I saw was Deadpool at talking to him. Somebody made it a meme.
Yeah.
Do this until you're 90. And that was perfect.
That's a good one. I liked Educated Wish.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorites.
And I like how it came back around with Wolverine at the end being like, he made an educated wish. Okay.
Yeah. And then
my line here.
Yeah.
You're always the wrong guy until
Yeah.
you were the right guy.
Yep.
Mhm.
I thought that was a cool.
That
way
was
to
a
look
really
at
good
that.
line. That really was.
I mean, the whole Marvel Jesus bit was hilarious,
I'm going to Disneyland.
Does your wife work in HR?
What was the one?
Oh my god, that
Your
got
tailor is a predator.
Yeah.
But he does good work. How about that whole...
Smack, squeeze.
Got to give Ryan Reynolds credit on catchphrases though, because the maximum effort from the first one, and let's fucking go, in this one, like I know that I myself and my children tend to annoy my significant others, whatever one I have at the time, by our repeating of catchphrases around the house for several days after watching a good movie.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons I want to see this again, because I know there's lines I'm forgetting already too. Like because it was just banger after banger.
I went and watched it again yesterday. I had to.
I want to. So I want to get back to the theater too. That's the other. I want to get back in the theater and see it again. Like it was impressive.
It was definitely the most packed I've seen a theater in a long time. I mean, it wasn't every single seat when I went Saturday, but I would say it was probably and it's a large theater.
Yeah.
And I would say probably 80% of the seats, which is like, I mean, the last couple movies that we've seen, there may be like 5-6 other people in there. You know, it's
I mean, I think technically the last movie we'd seen was that duck movie, Migration, which again wasn't. I mean, it was all right, but
the movie that Jesse sent us about ducks.
I don't know. Did he?
No, different.
It was an animated movie
that wasn't a theatrical release, Curtis. That's just
okay.
But anywho, we went to that like within the first couple weeks, and there was maybe like 3 or 4 other families in the theater, like that. You know.
Well, I mean, we went to see the last movie we saw was opening weekend. We saw Furiosa, and that's a pretty big movie. And maybe there was like, I don't know, 8 people in the theater besides us. You know, it wasn't much. But yeah, this was pretty freaking packed. So,
how about the whole sequence? How about the whole sequence when he's walking out in the new suit and he's like talking about how good looking he is, and he's like, this guy knows what the guy down. You calling your wife?
Calling HR. Does your wife work in HR?
And then they call back to that later when Wolverine and Deadpool come up and Wolverine's got his shirt blown away and he's like staring at him again. Oh,
I tell you what, for Hugh Jackman's age though, that dude was fucking ripped.
They said that was all him too.
Holy cow, man.
Dude, he dehydrates himself for those scenes.
Yeah, you have to. That's the only way to get that definition.
But I mean, even that, like just the fact that I don't know, at that age to be able to do that, like holy cow. Because I mean, you just talk about Robert Downey Jr. Obviously, he's going to be playing. He's going to be old, but he's never been like some sort of physical specimen. Like, Hugh Jackman is just freaking ripped, man.
Yep, I couldn't even do that when I was young. So I like burgers too much.
And I'll say my absolute 2 favorite moments in the whole movie that like set the tone of everything was that opening, where he's like, and we're not going to touch Logan, we're not going to desecrate, that masterpiece. And he's like, yeah, we are. And he just starts, I was like, great. He's like,
yes,
that like, because as good as that movie is, it's like, all right, if that's untouchable, then like, that's not Deadpool.
Right.
So I love that they just went to it straight away, got it out of the way, went so over the top with it. And, and then the moment in the TVA, when he like walks away from Paradox and he like grabs the mic into the camera and like swears and like smashes the glass.
Yeah.
Like, that was almost like the perfect fourth wall break I wanted to see from Deadpool. That I was like, all right, they can do anything else in this movie and it's just extra at this point for me.
That's actually what I wanted to touch on here too, was the fourth wall breaks, because I am so glad that they leaned into it in the first 2 Deadpool movies, and really played up that aspect of the character, because in my opinion, this movie does not work as well without the fourth wall breaks. Like, you've got to have those with, I mean, a ton of the jokes, even just like, he's going to be keeping his shirt on, he's not doing so well after the divorce, just stuff like that. And just Deadpool being able to piece together these, I mean, they're all 20th Century Fox, but they're kind of random movies, and bring them all together because of that meta-ness about it. And it all just felt so natural here because, they had established it firmly,
well, that 100% agree. And with that void where it's that, that space that they established in Loki that, places from dead universes go here, that get pruned and everything. And I'm like it was built into. So when Curtis was saying at the beginning of this recording, how he was worried it was going to be tying in all the multiverse stuff. And I'm like, I was like, wait, is he going to make a joke? I'm like, it totally, like, it 100% was. It did its own thing with it. But like, I guess
the difference is like they used what has been established to make their own movie. I was afraid they were going to have to pull in stuff that sets up other things.
Yeah.
And that's not, and that's not,
okay.
Well, at least, I mean, there may be some tie-ins from this that lead to other movies, but it didn't feel like, it felt like this was its own movie.
Well,
and not necessarily in trying to set up the next big thing.
Right. That is true. The amazing scene, which was one of my favorite scenes with him trying to get a job on the Avengers, talking to Happy Hogan.
Yes.
That was great. Oh my God.
Great. Those two were just perfect playing off of each other for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But it actually says Earth 616, which is the prime universe. So
In the
It doesn't exist anymore. Nope, it doesn't exist anymore.
Aren't you
It was
the
erased from existence.
Aren't you the chauffeur? I was, and then hit a security, and then.
But I mean, what I'm saying is, I feel like if they wanted Deadpool in a Marvel movie, a mainstream Marvel movie, that they could just do it because
they could have.
they want to do it. They want to do it. So I would expect to see him crossover, especially of this movie, because that's the most important thing. We're like, oh, will Disney let him do this? Disney likes money, everyone.
Mm-hmm.
That is the truth. More than anything else, Disney likes
Well,
money.
the one thing that I didn't think that we would see in this movie, and we didn't, and thing that I think that Disney would have put kiboshes to is just unnecessary nudity. I think that would have been I think they would have cut that. So, anything from like the first Deadpool movie, I don't think you would have seen something along those lines.
Maybe.
But as far as the jokes and the violence and stuff, all that was there. Yeah. So,
I want to dig into. So now, what about the sacred timeline, Jesse?
616 was destroyed in the comics. It no longer exists.
In the comics,
in the comics. No, you can't have a 616 in the MCU because the MCU is a derivative of the original comics. It's a separate universe from the original. So 616 no longer exists
in the comics, but in the cinematic universe, they have established that 616 is that sacred timeline, the main timeline.
It's okay, they're wrong.
Can I finish a sentence?
Nope. Go ahead.
God damn it, Curtis. I mean, Jesse. But no, I agree. From the moment that they labeled the MCU Prime or Sacred Timeline, however you want to look at it, as 616, was definitely confusing because it is still different from the 616 that was in the comics. So, but yeah, whenever they use that 616 in the MCU, they're referring to that Sacred Timeline that King was trying so fucking hard with the TVA to maintain. So
I know what they're referring to, but it's I think there's a plan, and that I think there's something more to that. The fact that they keep trying so hard to use it that it's not.
It's
right.
Quite possible. So are we? And actually, that first scene kind of threw me off from the rest of the movie because especially once they get to Hrizzer. So are we just assuming that he found a way to modify Cable's thing to jump? And he jumped into the MCU, right? That's what in that opening scene.
I don't think we need to explain it. It's a Deadpool movie.
Okay.
It was funny. I think it was there as a gag.
Okay.
And that's one of his superpowers is to do ridiculous things.
Yeah. If Jen Walters can crawl out of the TV into the MCU lot and confront the writers.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's what I'm asking. Do you think it was something he did with Cable's time machine, or is it something that he can do, same as Jen Walters, by being that fourth wall breaking character that he can just jump through?
Both.
Okay.
I think it's probably a combination of both. Probably, I would say if you have to put an explanation on it, him using the timeline thing, because he goes to the Green Lantern universe. He goes to, all these, or the real world and kills Ryan Reynolds before he reads, Green Lantern. Oh no.
Never been called that before.
Shouldn't that be the name of the show?
On our nerdy podcast.
Yeah. do we have any complaint? I know Sean's touched on some, but do the rest of you guys have any complaints? Anything that you think could have been done
My
better?
complaint is Sean.
Sean could have been done better.
Yeah. My complaint is Sean. No, I loved every bit of this.
Okay, Joe, it looked like you had something. Go ahead.
Yeah, when they started doing the, bringing the characters back in, all these cameos, probably I was disappointed that my favorite didn't make it, which is Colin Farrell's Bullseye. Bullseye. Like I loved that character as a villain, and to not even have him on the villain team, I was super disappointed. So that's probably as close to a complaint as I can get, as I wanted to see Colin Farrell's Bullseye.
He's still in traction, probably.
They could have made a joke about it. Like,
I mean, if we're going on who should have been in there, I think having Fassbender in there as Magneto would have been fucking awesome. But
yeah. I think they might still want to use him for something, though. Like, I think that might have been why he wasn't there.
Like when they were doing the different Wolverines, I would have loved just a little snippet of, him like extracting all the fucking adamantium out of Wolverine.
Oh yeah.
Like just that little bit would have been cool.
Like how we saw the Hulk in the reflection. Like,
yeah. Like Deadpool shows up and he sees like the adamantium being ripped out of Wolverine. He's like, "Ow." I'll go to the next.
I'll come back later.
Yeah. This is a bad time. Oh, yeah.
Jesse, did you have anything?
I have one complaint, and that was that they made me like Cassandra Nova.
Okay.
She was way too pretty.
I can agree with that.
For that character. B, I absolutely loved the way that actress portrayed her. Like, I cannot stand that character from the comic books, and that was probably largely because of the way she was drawn.
Yeah.
But like but I enjoyed her as if she was such a fun, maybe not Loki level fun, but like the whole, like there was like a lyricalness to the way she moved.
She was
talked,
that,
and when she's like putting her hands into people's faces, especially Paradox at the end, like how his face gets more and more bruised the more she's like,
and then she drags him along.
And she's dragging him along again. That and the Johnny Storm, like those are two of the most awkward body movements in movies I've seen that weren't like horror movies, and it was just so nervous. But she did a phenomenal job, and I was kind of, she needed to be stopped, but I hope we get to see a version of her again by that actress.
Yeah. And now she was like this manic pixie dream girl psycho. Like, I love that scene towards the end when she's about to interrogate Pyro after his double cross, and he's like, whoa. He's like, could you just ask? Like, try asking for once. All right, hands in pockets. What do you got? Like, but yeah, she was a lot of fun. Now, she hadn't appeared in any other movies, right? I'm not forgetting about her. Okay. Because I was racking my, I'm like, because I haven't seen all of the Fox X-Men movies. I haven't seen much of the later ones when they tried to like reboot it with younger actors. So I thought maybe I was missing the one.
You're not missing anything.
I thought maybe I was missing her. Like like she had been in something that they were bringing her back from. Gotcha.
No.
Probably the only complaint I have, and I understand why because of the way the story went, and it almost lines up with Sean, which is why I can understand how he was feeling this way. Like, I wish that Deadpool's regular cast had more of a part to play in this. I think Colossus especially was really missing from this movie. Negasonic Teenage Warhead, like
Yukio.
Yeah. Well, she was fine. We had enough of her. She did what she needed to do.
I just like, hi, Yukio.
But yeah, that's probably my one complaint. But I'm also like, I get it, but at the same time, like his supporting cast was such a big part of his first two movies. So I'm hoping going forward, now that like this is set up, we've saved his universe, that whatever we do from here on out, will be a bit more integrated with all of them.
So I got.
Go ahead, Joe.
Oh, I was just gonna say. So has everyone here seen Marvels?
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
I haven't.
So the end credit scene from Marvels.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Kelsey Grammer's Beast. Do these characters appear again later on down the line, you guys think, because of where Monica Rambeau is?
I would think that this is how they get into Secret Wars, and I think Deadpool will be and Wolverine will be a part of the SecretArs.
Okay.
That's
Because
my
in
guess.
Deadpool 2, Kelsey Grammer's Beast is in it for a second, right? He shuts doors.
Was it
That
Kelsey
was the
Grammer's or the
Nicholas
other
Hoult
guys?
one.
Yeah, it was the first class.
It was the other one.
That was the first class version.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. All right.
But it's Deadpool. Like Deadpool could just be like, "Huh, we got that beast now. Cool.
Yeah,
Like
right.
let's go."
I was just wondering if you guys thought that this was going to tie it all together.
I think Secret Wars will bring.
I don't
everything
think this
together.
tied anything together. I think it was just fun.
Mm-hmm.
I
Well,
think
I
it
mean,
gave
like-
another way to bring everything together when they want to. Like,
Right. Okay.
like I don't think it was like setting things up, like you said, Curtis. It was using stuff they had already built
Mm-hmm.
in a more playful way that is kind of shorthanding some of the stuff that will get us to Secret Wars.
And here's the thing. At the end of the day, and I said this to Jesse already, this movie is Loki, the TV show, meets Multiverse of Madness. But it was done so much better than both of those
Mm-hmm.
on its own. And I think it just shows that they made a lot of missteps in this multiverse saga, but it's not necessarily like the concept's not bad necessarily. It's just the way they've been going about it, in my opinion.
Here's what I always say about the multiverse. I think that anytime that you're dealing with multiple dimensions, or if you're dealing with time travel, if you're dealing with those two things, it is very difficult to do either of those in a very serious movie.
Yes.
When you're making a joke and you're having fun and you're doing silly stuff and you're having comic costumes and you're just having fun, you can do time travel. You can do multiple universes and stuff when you're having fun in a movie like this. When you're trying to be serious, like Multiverse of Madness, it just doesn't translate. It just get like all of a sudden you see all the different plot holes. You're like, okay, they're trying to make a serious movie, but what about this? And what about this? And why didn't this person, and why wasn't this person in it? Because they were just over here. And, there's too many questions when you're trying to make a serious movie with the multiverse, in my opinion.
Especially if they rush everything, which it seems like they're doing a lot. I know with the X-Men
Mhm.
movie, Days of Future Past is an amazing storyline
Yes.
that they tried to pack into an hour and a half. You're just not going to be able to do it. You're not going to take those amazing storylines and have them a condensed version be just as amazing.
Right.
I don't. So yeah, agreed.
I mean, like you take the Deadpool trying to find the right Wolverine and going all the different planets and stuff. If it wasn't a jokey, silly movie and it was like they were trying to do that seriously, that part would take a really long time, or you would have to cut corners and be like, oh, he found it on the first try, whatever. Right. So,
or it'd have to just be like a montage where there's no like dialogue and it's just them like scene after scene after scene.
Yeah.
Like not finding what they want without, where what they're doing without. Yeah. Totally agree.
So I think we got to touch at least a little bit here on the Deadpool core. So, any standouts?
Real quick, on the last point that we were saying.
Yeah.
I think that they could incorporate some of the fun and campiness of Deadpool in some of their other movies as well.
Oh yeah.
Like I think sometimes they try to make the MCU way too serious, and you could pull some of this other stuff in. I'm not saying every movie has to be Deadpool. It doesn't need to be cranked up to 10, but you could throw some of that in there and have a little bit more fun.
Well, and just the lower stakes. I mean, yes, it is his whole world, but it's just his world. It's not the, it feels like Marvel's always got to go now for the universe reality ending.
Well, and there's got to be
and
this huge big bad, and that's not what
right,
the case
like,
was in this.
Let's just fight some dudes. Like, let's just have,
fight some dudes.
Just fight some dudes.
All right, sorry about that.
But yeah, Deadpool core. I love the fact that they got a ton of famous people to play the Deadpool core, and they never unmasked any of them. That was amazing, in my opinion. But you got any standouts from the Deadpool core for you guys?
I'll make my comment. It's not about anyone in particular. It's the fight scene going to and through the bus, just because the way it ends and the visual of that, but that reminds me of the pages in Next Wave where they're going through like the 2-page spreads.
Yep.
Like it gave me that kind of vibe. I'm like, man, if they ever made a Next Wave movie or a show, this is how you would do that scene where it's just wave after wave of characters. They're like plowing through them, like, the different things. So yeah, that's all I have to.
And how about
yeah?
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was saying just the way it comes out with like Wolverine, like again, the way he got to be comic book Wolverine in this movie. He had the mask on,
pulls it over,
pulling the mask. Yeah. Oh my god!
Yeah, and just like coming out, like arms out.
I'm a catty bitch when I'm jealous.
Yeah. I just love
my favorite part of that was where Deadpool uses Nice Pool to just get them blasted, and they're all just like firing their guns and stuff, and then Wolverine just stands up with the dog and just kind of slowly walks across, like giving them an eye, and they don't do shit. He just walks across slowly. That was my favorite part.
Real quick on the mask part where Wolverine's like, you mean I get to kill 100 of you? Let's fucking go, and just him reaching back, and I completely forgotten about the mask, honestly, at that, but like just seeing him in the blue and yellow the whole movie, I'm like, he looks great. He got the sleeves ripped off, and I'm like, great. But then at that end there, when he pulls on the mask and Deadpool makes his quip, what about aerodynamic or something? And it's like, I got freaking chills him putting on that mask. I'm like, oh yeah.
Blowjob handles.
That's what he said. See, I gotta watch the movie again. Yeah. But yeah, so real quick, some of the Lady Deadpool.
The thing with the mask that's funny is that, like, in all the other scenes of the movie, it's not behind him. Like, it's not like the mask is just sitting there and he pulls it up.
It's the comic book. It's
not there at all.
Tucked in. It was tucked in.
Yeah, okay.
It's like those jackets where you used to have like the hood, like in the collar, just like
zipped in. He had to unzip it.
He's got like some weird stuff going on around his neck the whole movie. Like it's not the hood, but like the way the suit is built. Like I was like, so when he pulls it out, I was like, oh, that's what that is, or at least that's what my brain's gonna tell me that is next time I watch it.
If Adam can pull the sword of power out of his freaking vest, Wolverine can pull a mask out of his neck. Like,
but that's the kind of shit that works for this movie. But in a more serious movie, it would not.
No, he'd have to. Yeah. So there'd have to be like
it wasn't nanotech.
Yeah,
nanotech or like a freaking drone like drops off like, here's a present from Tony.
I love the floating skull too. That was fucking awesome.
Headpool played by Nathan Fillion.
Yeah.
Yep. Lady Deadpool played by Blake Lively. Kidpool and Babypool were both played by their Ryan and Blake's kids. That dog really freaking looks like that. That's her real tongue. I had to look it up afterwards. That is not any effect. That is her tongue, and she
the only
was shoving
effect
it
was
down
the eyes
Ryan's
and the goggle, like making the eyes bigger. That was the only effect, but everything else is just that dog.
Yeah. Oh my god!
I wish the tongue going in his mouth was an effect.
Oh my gosh, that was so gross.
Did you guys,
especially when he started like licking back, and he's like, oh my god,
we're dying. Did you guys? I don't know if you caught the interview when he was talking about that, but he said like the trainer had to stuff into Ryan's mouth to get the dog to lick that aggressively. And he said what really worked was a salmon paste that they would coat on like the back of his tongue.
That's worse than the dog tongue.
Yes.
Oh,
But I love that he was able to act through all that lick back, and I'm like, oh, we were all dying. My wife was
straight
dying.
face the whole time. Yeah.
Mary Poppins.
Mm.
Oh, we had Matthew McConaughey as Cowboy Pool. Wrexham AFC player.
Was it Matthew
Paul Mullen.
McConaughey? I knew it sounded like, I thought it was somebody pulling off a Matthew McConaughey.
Nope,
voice.
it was Matthew
Wow.
McConaughey. Yeah.
Wow.
Interesting.
Wrexham AFC player Paul Mulling as Welsh Pool. Reynolds stunt double Alex Kishkovic was Canada Pool. And Tom Holland's brother Harry Holland portrayed Harold Pool. Not sure which one that was, but yeah. But yeah, it was a great fight scene. Jesse, I hadn't clicked until Jesse said it, but that's exactly it was a 2-page comic book spread brought to life. And I love after they get through all of that and they turn around and they're like, oh yeah, they regenerate.
Yeah, I guess these ones regenerate. Whoops.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right, so how about the grand finale, our climax of the movie? Sean, you haven't started in a while.
We're talking about the end before the credits, correct?
Correct. So the TVA is there with the Time Ripper. Cassandra gets there. Wolverine and Deadpool have to. One of them has to make it down to cross the short circuit the matter and the antimatter, sacrificing themselves in the process to save the world and the universe at this point. Sean,
So
anything to say?
Here's I want to remaster that moment because
Oh my god, what the okay.
Because I had an idea after watching it and I'm like, well, why couldn't they have done that? I would have been laughing harder, I think. Curtis is just like, why am I on this show? I can just see it right now. So we had the whole Deadpool core moment.
Real quick, I would like to point out that Sean, as soon as he saw this movie, aggressively texted us saying he can't wait to talk about this with us.
I said I have thoughts.
I think
That's what I
Sean
said.
needs to watch movies with Jesse instead of his wife. That's what I think.
Is that the issue?
So, yes. But go ahead. Sorry, Sean.
I just thought so okay, the thing about the movie is Deadpool is trying to fit in and have a team. He wants to matter and all this stuff. And he ends up making a team out of the misfits basically in the void. And I thought it would have been fun to have him when they all start regenerating and he finds out that Peter is the reason everybody loves it now. Like everybody has a Peter, Sugar Bear.
Everybody has a Peter. Everybody has a Peter.
Everybody has a Peter. So
have fun playing with my
they don't
Peter.
want to fight anymore. Everybody's good to go, right? So when they find out what the plan is with the Time Ripper, I thought it would have been fun if he goes, I got an idea, and it's the whole thing of I'm now figuring out how to be in a team. He literally has a team of himself up there.
Yeah,
he
but they
could
like
go up
Peter.
there.
They still didn't like him.
He could go up there and have Peter say, exactly. Everybody has a Peter. Yes. He could have Peter say, okay, you need to listen to him. Here's his idea. And he wants each one to go down there and try to stop the thing. And each one dies before they finally go, maybe Wolverine and I should be the two that do it. And he killed almost his whole core off. That's the thing. That was one of those, all of those cameos in the fight. It was good. But then I'm like, it just happened. And then that was that, it didn't work for me on that level. I felt like because they even brought it up. They're the craziest. You don't want to deal with those guys and all that stuff. And then just have it that he ends up being the only Deadpool left on top of everything else. Nobody likes this. I can tell. It's okay, but that's how I
do. But it would have to have a consequence where they all merge into one being and they become Galactus.
Yeah,
or like the real MODOK, not.
To me, it was just one of those things.
Gross.
It's like it was a great action scene, and then we're back to Deadpool's journey. And
yeah, I get that, but
just,
I don't know. I don't know. That's just where I went. So I'll stick with that and shut my mouth. So Because I could tell nobody here likes that, but I think it would have been funny to watch him blow up every one of them individually, and him being like, oh God, and however they blow up is like even worse the next time, and turning it
They
into
all
like
want
a
to be
little bit of a
the
skit while
Marvel
he's
Jesus.
trying to figure out how to do this without dying, even though he's willing to die at that
But
point.
then to me, that takes away some of the ticking clock. And especially this final scene is where we get into the emotional, like, okay, this is it. And if you're spending, 15 minutes going, oh, he died, oh, he died, oh, he died. It's like, okay, so we've got all the time in the world. Like, that's just my opinion. Joseph, let's go to you.
I think that it worked nicely. I get what they were trying to do. They're subverting our expectations. Wolverine was supposed to sacrifice himself, and yada yada yada. I like in superhero movies for there to be a big fight at the end, and I would have preferred a fight at the end with the main villain. Just personally, I think that it worked out just fine. She disintegrates. It was okay. That wasn't my favorite part of this very good movie.
Gotcha. I think that's why they did the Deadpool core fight. Now that you're saying it, because that was our big battle, and then we got the emotional climax.
Right, but
Yeah.
she was the main villain. I wanted to see them battle her at the end, but it kind of like the Wonder Woman movie, and her and Ares square off, and then it's like, I don't know what the hell that was. Like, it was the same kind of thing. It just like, I just want to see superheroes punch each other,
right,
and use their powers on it. But that's just my take on a very specific scene, not at all my take on the entire movie, because obviously I love the movie. But since you asked, that's what
I all opinions are valid except for Sean's. Jesse,
what's the question? The finale?
Yeah,
I liked
the climax,
it. I liked it. I thought it worked really well. I like Deadpool doing the whole, like I'm Spock. Like
I'm Marvel Jesus.
Well, and then
Spock.
Yeah, I thought that was great.
I'm flying.
It did feel like it felt a little. The only way it worked is because the way it like paid off in the end. Like if you're both going to go in there, and it felt a little Guardians of the Galaxy to me, but I liked it. Like for the movie, it worked. Like you said, it was more the emotional of it than the actual technical aspects of it. So, and like there's no, in my opinion, what we saw Cassandra Nova do in this movie, there was no way to stop her in a physical fight. Like what she does to Johnny, like there's no way they could have fought her physically. She's just not that type of villain. And yeah, I overall I liked it. The music was great, the way they did it, and he comes out with the shirt and he's like, "Wow, if I'm Spock, you really are Kirk." Or so. I wish there was like it would have been that kind of a comment, but yeah.
I like even when Wolverine gets in there, they're connected, and the Wolverine shirt pops off, and then we still take a Deadpool moment for him to go, "Yeah, all right."
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I was watching a different thing because I enjoyed the hell out of it. Like I felt it was a great emotional climax. You got the, Deadpool willing to sacrifice himself, Wolverine banging on the door. I'm going before Curtis just to keep driving him insane. But yeah, I loved it. The fact that affirming that lesson of Deadpool kept wanting to matter. And so that's why he's trying to do all this sacrifice and everything. But at the end of the day, he, reaffirming that he needs the support, he needs the help, and, Wolverine coming to a place, we didn't even really touch on his story arc where he's the last remaining X-Men of his universe, and the rest died on his watch kind of. And, him dealing with the trauma of that, but still stepping up to help Deadpool. Like I felt it was just a great emotional climax to this movie. And even the fact, and it's I mentioned earlier when they're in the car or the van and Wolverine's yelling at him, and he's saying, you'll never be able to save the world. But then at the end, it's like, no, I can't, but we can. Like that kind of resonated with me. So, and even them coming back up, Paradox is trying to play it all off. Like he sent them down there. And they show back up. He's like, there's no way you could have survived. And it's like, yeah, like you said, Guardians of the Galaxy set it up that multiple people can kind of diffuse these big powers. So the two of them together were able to survive where one of them couldn't. I thought it was really touching and well done. But Curtis, thoughts?
I loved it, and I think expecting there to always be a big bad and a big fight at the end is, I mean, that's just cookie cutter bullshit, and you don't need that. Like, you don't have to have.
I need that.
We had big fight scenes throughout this whole fucking movie. Like, there were huge fights. Cassandra Nova was not the big bad. Paradox was the big bad. She was just a part of the story.
Right.
So it didn't have to be a big fight at the end. I think this is a movie about a man on a quest, on a journey to save his world. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, he knows that if he lets Wolverine go in there, Wolverine is the anchor being. And if there is no Wolverine, his world can't be saved. So he has to go in there and do that. So he goes in to do it. And then Wolverine knows that Deadpool's going to die if he does it by himself. And out of sheer desperation, he thinks, well, maybe if we do this together, we can accomplish this. And it's this amazingly awesome scene with the music. And you talked earlier about the soundtrack. I would look at that soundtrack. If they released that soundtrack before the movie and they said, these are the songs we're going to play through the movie, I would have looked at that and said, that is the most ridiculous soundtrack I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
But every single song that they played at the times they played in the movie was absolutely fucking perfect. Mm-hmm. And that song at that time of the movie with that scene was the perfect way to finish that movie. And to go, oh, well, we didn't get one more fight. Well, fuck that. We had fights throughout the whole fucking movie, and they were amazing. They're
all in the wrong places.
Ever seen?
Bad
you don't
movie.
need another fight at the end of the movie. It's a very touching moment that put a nice exclamation point on the movie that he saves his world.
That's not the kind of touching I want to see in Deadpool.
And these two guys that have been fighting for the whole fucking movie, that they can't get along, at the end they work together to solve this problem.
Yep.
It was amazing.
I knew Curtis would have my back. And thank you for reminding me. Yeah, I wanted to say the same thing. I don't think a Cassandra Nova versus Wolverine versus Deadpool climax fight would have been that interesting. So, but
it could have been after she got zapped by the machine. Her powers are in at full strength, and it was actually a good fight. That was just my opinion. I'm not saying that I'm right.
I know. I'm just growling. Growling is my opinion.
Yeah. Just saying, that's what I thought. That's what I like to see in movies.
All opinions are valid except for Sean.
I don't expect everyone to agree. It's okay.
I said I liked the ending, and I had some minor different feels about it, but I liked it.
We've been agreeing too much. We got to get some drama in here for the clickbait.
Screw you, douche.
Okay. What? Your place or mine? Where?
No.
You offered. You guys heard him. He offered. Go ahead, Curtis. I know you had. I'm sure you have some thoughts about kind of the wrap up here. So.
Yeah, because I think as much as I love this whole movie, start to finish, we get to that end, and they're back at the apartment and all this kind of stuff. Love the movie. They roll the credits, and like I'll admit, like I teared up. Like it was a super emotional, like during the credit scene when they're showing the shots of all of these guys, and you think about like everything that went to building what we know today as comic book movies.
Yep.
Granted, maybe Fox, fucking shit the bed many times in many of the movies they did, but everything that they did led up to the beginning of the MCU and to the success that we had and all the great years of comic book movies. And to see them treat that with respect and reverence and, because they could have just said, hey, we bought this property. Fox can go fuck themselves. They could have just, either ignored it or shit on him.
Yep.
But instead, they play this touching tribute, and I thought it was the most amazing thing. And as much as I've bitched with other people about some of the decisions Disney's made over the past few years, I think that was the most classy thing they could have done.
Yeah, I was literally tearing up. It came out of nowhere, and seeing all those guys not only on set, but like just relaxed and kidding around, and just watching them. They weren't even showing like scenes from the movies. It was showing them making the scenes and how much fun they were having, in the original X-Men or with the First Class or whatever, like.
And Stan Lee and all.
Yeah, all of that stuff. And again, it really hit me like how much Fox did. You forget about it because there were so many starts and stops and what's connected, what's not connected. Like you kind of forget about how much they really did throughout the whole thing.
I don't.
I guess
know.
nobody else thought anything.
I can't really add anything. Curtis and Matt said it all. Like I didn't get teary-eyed about it, but I thought I do agree with totally. Like there's a part of me that really wants to like call out emotional manipulation for using that song over that thing. But like it was well done. Like it wasn't a dick move. Like Curtis said, it was classy. It worked, and it doesn't make me like those movies, but it makes me, appreciate and respect what the cast and crew tried to do with those movies. Like Curtis said, to give us what we have today. Like, I might not like those movies, but I can respect that without those, we wouldn't have the MCU we have today.
Joe, Sean, anything, or are you good?
Yeah, I don't really know what to add to that. I mean, it was cool that they made movies. I enjoyed those movies probably more than most people.
Because they had a big fight at the end of each of them.
And appropriately so. Thank you.
Yeah, remember when they took on Galactus at the end of the Oh wait, no, they really didn't.
Well, they couldn't, right? Because they didn't have the rights to Galactus, so they made him a cloud. But I mean,
remember when they turned the fan on to blow Galactus away?
I like.
Yeah, that was an amazing.
I bet you watched that part over and over.
I liked those Fantastic Four movies. I liked all the Blade movies. I liked the first two X-Men movies. I mean, there was a lot of good movies that were made that I don't know. I still see them with the same eyes I saw them with the first time and can enjoy them for what they were.
Your eyes have been that bad that long?
Yes.
Have you seen my glasses? They can stop bullets.
No.
They can stop bullets.
Okay, Superman.
No, my glasses can. My eyes are very squishy.
All right, guys. Any closing thoughts here as we're kind of wrapping off, and anything you want to maybe we skipped over?
If you
just
sat here this long,
yeah,
you should have gone to see the movie if you haven't seen it already.
I hope
if you've seen the movie.
First.
You should have just gone to see it again instead of watching this. But we're
I
glad you're
gone
here.
tonight.
We Jesse and I did a Wednesday one shot on this earlier in the week, and the what I said in that, and I'll say here again, is if you like this movie, if this was something that you enjoy, and this was better than what you feel like you've gotten from Disney over the past few years, go see this movie, go see it again, go see it again, go see it again. Support this movie, support it with your dollars so that they know this is the kind of shit we want, so that we can continue to get more of this. So
Joker will not be the number one rated R movie anymore.
There you go.
Please.
I do have one more thing to add. I am
coming out
beyond flabbergasted about, like we said at the very beginning of this, like some people were worried about, what's Disney going to do? They're going to nerf Deadpool, blah, 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 blah. I'm shocked by probably half of the jokes in this movie. Not because they're in a Deadpool movie, but there's some stuff I'm surprised made it into a Disney movie.
Yeah.
there's a couple of jokes that I'm surprised made it into a Deadpool movie. So that those jokes made it into a Deadpool movie made by Disney blows me away. But yeah, don't take your small children to it. No, please.
I will also say,
and I don't mean height small, I mean age, like young children.
Sean can go.
After Logan, I was totally ready for a new actor to play Wolverine.
Yeah.
After this movie, I honestly do hope they make him do it till he's 90 because he is so freaking good. And the fact that they, just like took the chains off of him and let him do it, let him do Wolverine the way he wanted to do it, made this so much better. And so I hope that they get him to do many, many more movies. I don't care how many millions of dollars they have to throw at him.
Yeah, that's Hugh Jackman likes money too, so that can be a win-win.
Yeah.
Agreed. The best part of this Wolverine,
he wasn't in the Fox X-Men universe.
No freaking love triangle. No Jean. I love Jean as a character, but the fact that we didn't have to deal with that.
I mean, we haven't really gotten into who all are X-Men in the Marvel or in the Deadpool universe, so there might be a Jean and a Scott waiting.
But we didn't have to deal with that in this movie. Like, I know it
wasn't a core part of who he is. Yeah.
It wasn't like a through line where he's like, oh, I want to see Jean. Like,
right. He mourned his X-Men, but not just Jean.
Although if they would have done a scene with him holding the picture in the bed, that would have been fucking funny. I would have laughed.
Have you seen the clip that Sean Levy released of Hugh Jackman watching the end fight?
Yeah.
And he's just like snickering to himself.
Yeah.
And speaking of the jokes that made it in, they've actually, all of them, Sean Levy, Hugh, and Ryan, they've all been asked multiple times on different interviews I've seen, like, okay, so those made it in. What jokes did Disney cut? And they said, like, basically Disney didn't cut anything. Like, they let them do what they wanted to do. They said what they thought was the number one move that they thought was going to get cut is when they poke fun at the multiverse, where Deadpool's like, "Oh yeah, everyone's sick of multiverse stuff." Like,
I love when he said you're coming in at a low point. When he said,
that whole thing,
you're coming in at a low point. Yeah,
but he said they showed like the daily to Kevin after they filmed that scene, and Feige just fucking busted up laughing, and that's when they knew that they were going to be good to do whatever they wanted. And that shows too that Marvel itself they know where they're at, like they're not dumb. And I think we're gonna see some trying to course correct here, whatever that may end up being.
I think a la Legends of Grayskull, we should do a rating here at the end.
Okay, what's your rating system, Curtis? I also want to do real quick. I want your ranking of the Deadpool movies, the 3.
Well, that's kind of where I was gonna go. I was gonna give a score out of 10 for all 3 movies. I would have put the first movie at like an 8 out of 10. Second movie, I felt like there's some lulls in there. It's not one that I enjoy just watching by itself. I would probably put that at a 6 out of 10, and this I would put it at 10 out of 10. So.
Okay, what are we doing the 10 of? Is it like, because I mean
10 is the best,
but I mean they're 10 Logan skeletons, they're 10
sure 10 pelvic bones,
10 Logan pelvic bones. Okay. So yeah, the first Deadpool, I would say that's a 9 out of 10. I really enjoy that one. They do with this franchise, as long as Ryan's at a key part of it. The second one, definitely a drop. I would say that's probably a 7 pelvic bones. In Deadpool and Wolverine, I've got to give a full 10 thrusting pelvic Logan bones all night long.
Let's go,
Joe.
All 3 of them are a 10 in my book. So.
Ooh. Even without a fight scene at the end?
all 30 pelvic bones are just thrusting in a circle constantly.
Yeah, they're all thrusting at each other.
Right.
Each one had things that I appreciated very much. The first one, being the first one,
Yep.
introducing the character getting to cut loose and really be Deadpool was made it a 10 in my book. The second one, introducing all the extra characters, a Juggernaut that actually felt like the Juggernaut. That gained it 2 points on my scale right there. And 3 was just a great movie. So
All right.
there we go.
Down to you,
I'm
Shawnee.
also bad at rating movies.
I love your ratings.
Let's see. First Deadpool, I'd give 10 out of 10 too, because I was shocked that they got it right. Second one, I'd actually still give a 10 out of 10 because I've always wanted to see Colossus versus Juggernaut on the big screen, and I did not know that was the movie that was going to do it out of any X-Men thing they've ever done. And plus, I did like the inclusion of Cable and Domino as well, because Domino ended up being one of my favorite characters in the second movie.
Agreed.
This one, I mean, I'd probably either give an 8 or a 9 out of 10. It's not like I hated it. It's just this one to me just didn't fire the way that I was thinking the other two worked. So
That's a lot higher than I thought you were going to give it based on your comments. So
no, like for me, there were lulls in this one to me more than there were in Deadpool 2, for instance. That's just me. So
Jesse, finish us off. All of us. What's your rating, Jesse?
You say shit like that, it makes me not want to be here, Matt.
I'm sorry. It just slips out.
finish me off.
Deadpool's a 9. Deadpool 2's a 7. Deadpool and Wolverine's a 10.
Let's fucking go. All right, guys. I think that sums it up. Deadpool and Wolverine. Go see it. Help us topple the Joker. Do us a favor. If you're still listening to this, click some buttons down below. It really helps us. Algorithms and subscribers and whatnot. And until next time,
Wakanda
let's
forever.
fucking go.